Hi, this is Ed. I'm in San Diego, and you're on Global TV Talk Show. So this is a scene that I snapped and photoed. It's not staged. Just happened to be walking along San Diego's Seaport Village. This goes back now like 5 or 6 years. And I came across this and I said, wow, this is great. So what do you think they're saying? Let's just assume that he got up there first and then pulled her up. Maybe it was the other way around. But this tree is in Seaport Village and San Diego, and I'll have to tell you, it's one of my favorite images. So stand by. We're going to welcome Christian into the studio here, and we'll begin. So what do you think they're saying? Interesting.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Is it just the
Well,
two of us?
hopefully not, but it will
Why are
be
you
cozy.
Why are you recording?
Oh, I was talking to myself, and you came in early.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Sorry to interrupt here.
So this is a scene that I came across while walking in San Diego's Seaport Village. It's not staged.
Wow.
And by the way, there's a man and a woman who climbed up that tree, and they're sitting and having a conversation, and
Oh, it looks like he's proposing to her.
or something, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the storm clouds are
Mm-hmm.
all around. That's actually fog, which is
Mm-hmm.
very normal here in San Diego on the
I know.
coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it might be interesting today to start the conversation with showing this scene
Mm-hmm.
and get people thinking. And we're going to admit the note taker and Ken Lloyd. Oh,
Oh, cool.
okay, great. There are a couple of other people who may come, but they always say they will and they don't. So we'll see what happens.
You just got the stalwarts, Ken and I.
Yes, yes, the brains.
The
The,
others have brains too. Hi,
the
little
brains.
brain. Hey,
Hey,
Ken. Good to see you.
morning. Great to
Good,
see you too. How
good
are you guys?
morning. Good
Good.
morning. So, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, we have a new granddaughter, and it's very, very
Congratulations.
exciting. Yeah, just a little
Uh,
doll, such a sweetie pie already.
so
Did it
yesterday, right?
Yesterday, yeah, in the
everything
morning.
Yeah,
go well?
Perfectly. Thank you. Thank you.
Good. I'm
Everybody
yeah.
good.
glad. I'm glad.
Muzzle toe. Yeah.
Mazel
Thank you.
tov. Indeed.
Yes, indeed. So this is a scene. We were just talking about this tree. This is a live picture that I happened on while walking in San Diego's Seaport Village. This was about 5 or 6 years ago. And this was not staged. This is a scene I came along and I whipped out my camera and took a picture, the phone. And so you have to imagine, and I said to myself, someday I'm going to use this
Mhm.
and be part of a discussion. And emotional intelligence, EQ, is the theme of today's show. And so I thought it was kind of fitting. And so I can take it down if it gets too boring and switch into something else. We have another note taker. I'm going to have to adjust this someday when I have time.
You have to
And
fire one of them.
I know, God. Um, so anyway, what's her name?
Her name is Erin Sophia.
Oh, it's a very
Yeah,
good name.
yeah, beautiful name. Or beautiful girl.
Erin,
Erin, yes.
like my wife. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Very
Yeah, that's
nice.
great. That's really great. So the theme of today, and we are recording already, and I'm doing that on purpose to make it more human rather than stilted or looking like we know what we're doing. EQ, why EQ matters more than you think. And I'm reading this here. It predicts success better than IQ. IQ, the slogan, if you have high IQ, somebody's going to want to hire you, check you out. But if you have EQ, they say that will get you promoted later on. So what's EQ? So it says here, I'm reading this, it predicts success better than IQ. It's the core of strong leadership. It can be developed with practice. Excuse me, somebody is entering.
And Ed, you're very low down, so your chin is partially cut off.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. I did that on purpose because I didn't want to look like I was blocking them out. Okay.
Kind of in the middle of where you were before and where you are now would be ideal.
Yeah. Let's see.
There we
Like
go.
that?
Yeah, a little more, a little more. Keep doing what you just did.
Okay, I need two hands. Wait 1 second.
Yes, perfect. Perfect.
All right, good. Now I can move to the other side and see whether that is
You could
a little
block that
bit
house.
better.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that is a restaurant bar. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, good. How do you teach, Dr. Ken Lloyd? How do you teach EQ?
Oh, that's a very good question. And frankly, it's just, it's not something, here you go take one class, you're going to learn it. You need to first learn about what does it really mean, to have compassion, empathy, self-regulation, control, effectiveness in interpersonal relations. And frankly, I would think it comes more by understanding the concept of it. It's very different from IQ, intellectual quotient. Which is a whole different aspect of intelligence. But I would think that by actively learning, dealing with other people, listening very carefully, reaching out, and being encouraged to try to understand others more effectively, as well as understand yourself more effectively. But I think by dealing with as wide and diverse a group of people as you can, looking at some of the most respected leaders you've worked with, what qualities are they showing that maybe I personally could enhance in myself? Gee, that person seems to listen, or that person seems to really care, is really interested in me, understands where I'm coming from, certainly accepts criticism, recognizes when responsibility needs to be taken. In other words, to try to actively learn from others instead of coming in with kind of a closed mind. This is how I am. I can't change. I can't grow. It's said you can't really increase your IQ. Well, there's at least a little bit of debate about that. That can be argued perhaps. But certainly one's emotional intelligence can be improved. We can learn, we can grow and develop if we're really willing to do so, to really give it a try and to try to understand those around us better, to help us better understand ourselves.
Yes, please.
Okay, so of course this was a perfect answer, but I was thinking, I was going back to your question, Ed, and how do you teach it? So let's say you are in a position where you have a coaching business and you feel that you have to teach it. How would you go about doing that? And if you take what Ken just said, which again is a perfect answer, the only answer then can be to focus on that awareness part of it. So what you would teach is teach these people, these leaders, these budding leaders, if you will, to be more aware about what they should look for when they do what Ken just said, when they listen to other people, to mentors, people from other cultures, people in very different life circumstances, people who don't have as much money as you have, people who have a lot more money than you have, people who are in different personal circumstances of any kind. But you have a very keen sense of what to look for, and that sense, I believe, that can be taught. It can be not from the ground up, but it can be improved upon by coaching and teaching.
So in your years as a manager with uh, Lexicon, Australian
Mhm.
Lexicon, did you find yourself doing this?
Yes. Now, I already worked with people who are very emphatic, otherwise they wouldn't be in the mobility business, and you know this. So these people are very happy givers. They want to make things go well for other people. They're not in it for themselves. So you build on that foundation, but what you remind them of is how stressful the situation is, that they're all people, that every situation is different, and that you mustn't ever become mechanical, just read off a script, not listen to what they have to say. These are all things where it's a great question because it kind of I'm talking about an illustration of what I just said, really. I try to teach them to take what they already had and then listen to what other people are saying or what they can learn from their leaders and then use this in their daily work.
So I have this thing that I was sent by an expert, a recognized expert in this field. And he says there, I'm reading it, 7 elements of emotional intelligence. Number 1, being self-aware.
There you go.
Number 2, recognizing emotions. What's that mean? That I understand what you're feeling, that kind of thing. Recognizing emotions.
Yeah, recognizing emotions in others and in yourself. Now, I feel myself getting annoyed. I'm getting upset. So I want to understand that in me, as well as the emotions that others may be displaying, even very subtly.
Think of a very bad call center situation where the other person it's a person, not a bot, but they just read off of a script and you're getting more and more annoyed and they just don't recognize it. They don't, it's beyond not caring. They don't even recognize it because they are still on script.
This is where
Number
Joseph McGuire's expertise also plays in terms of reading people's facial expressions, because you can learn a great deal about their emotions by reading some of the subtleties that they may be displaying strictly and perhaps unwittingly by their facial expressions. And he studied that to be as aware as we can of others and what they may be experiencing and going through as we're interacting with them or as they're experiencing various aspects of the job.
So everybody has emotions, and so recognizing it is grown-up stuff. Being
Yeah,
mature.
especially
Okay.
rather than focusing on ourselves and our own emotions, to really be effective in terms of emotional intelligence and to strive and ultimately succeed in better recognizing the emotions of the people who are working with, people who are around us.
So if the boss or somebody else does not do that, that creates a toxic culture.
Well, it certainly
Yeah,
can.
it can.
This would be a more or less a self-centered individual in that position who really is not at all interested or focused on or understanding what you may be going through, what you may be experiencing at the time. And it's just simply a one-way street. And that's not an effective way to work with people and collaborate.
That's the difference here
oh,
between IQ and EQ right there, The person that you just kind of caricatured or outlined may be very intelligent. They may be very results driven. They may know how to, I don't know, increase revenue or expand your market share, things like that. But if that's all that they're about, if they don't necessarily take their feelings into consideration, let alone other people's, then yes, it can become very toxic.
pausing before reacting. That's a good one for me. Pausing before reacting. Number
Easier said
4
than done.
point, I know, yeah. Number 4 point, showing empathy. Well, there we go. Number 5, managing stress. So managing stress to me means knowing that you're under stress and
Mhm.
you're getting angry or pissed off or something, or disappointed, and then all of the above, um, and pausing before reacting. That I need to work on that. So showing empathy, that repetitive, managing stress, motivating yourself. So to me, motivating yourself means remembering to do more, to shut up and listen or be helpful rather than be a know-it-all.
Or be disinterested in. We talked about burnout the other day, and I don't want to make this sound accusatory in any way, but it can happen as a result of burnout that you would lose that sense of motivation. And then everything we talked about falls apart, right? You don't recognize your feelings anymore the way you should do. And you definitely don't care about other people's feelings because you're burnt out. That's one of the definitions of a burnout. You don't care.
Ken?
You know, in terms of self-motivation, it's a matter also of not waiting for others to set the path for you. Here's where you're going, here's how to get there, but to have some of that coming from you, from what's inside of you, what's satisfying to you, what energizes you, so that you're not just a reactive person, you're a proactive person as well. And you're living your life and taking it in a direction you want to go in, as opposed to waiting for life to simply lead you and you're just a passenger on this journey. So it's more what's going on internally, what's happening inside of me to impel me and push me to greater heights and to meeting my personal needs, understanding what those needs are at the same time as emotional intelligence, understanding the needs of those around you. And what if they're different? Well, let's recognize that and respect it and see how we can pursue things productively and effectively together.
And the part about self-motivation, I feel can be taught to quite a large extent in school. And I'm talking pretty young. Maybe, 9, 10 years old is what I would say. I'm not a professional in that field, but I remember seeing progress reports where self-motivation was listed as a criterion. And I think that what a good teacher would do is recognize that in students and then draw it out of them as much as possible, foster that, because good teachers know that we're now talking about the business world, so it will transition. Over the years, it will transition into the business world, and these people will be self-motivated because from a young age, they've been taught that self-motivation is a good thing.
Yeah, you're totally right, in my opinion, Christian, that where teachers have a real opportunity to recognize, reinforce, and reward behaviors that show that kind of proactivity and self-determination, as opposed to having everyone, if you will, physically and mentally line up and think the same way, do the same thing. This is what we do it. This is how you do it. No, your thinking is out of line, and we don't want that. We don't want you to show that kind of independence. And then gradually that basically thwarts this self-determination, self-motivation that is so important in life. So you're right. In early learning that rewards and recognizes it helps sets the stage for that kind of growth and further development and success down the road.
So we're talking about building healthy relationships. So this guy says EQ isn't fixed, it's a skill you can learn and develop. And he says there are 5 ways. Number 1, practice self-reflection daily. Take time to check in with your thoughts and feelings.
Sure. That recognizing your own feelings can come from, it can't just come out of thin air. That's something you have to set time aside for, and you have to work on. And it's like any other thing. The more you understand how they work, how it works, the easier it will be for you to act on it. It's almost like you get an owner's manual for yourself. If you
That's a
don't
good one.
read it, It just came to me. If you don't read it, you may be able to function, but not at your best.
And this is where mindfulness can help as well, to
That's
really
right.
get into the moment of today, turn off everything and just stop. And when these thoughts start running through, to turn it off and let's get caught up in today and just, what am I experiencing now? What am I hearing? What am I seeing? What am I feeling? Just to turn all of that off. It's almost like a mental restart. And then to build from there. And there's studies also that show, literally, if you'll go out and take a walk, go in the woods, if you will, away from all of the structures around you, and go back to nature, leave the phone home or in your office, don't open it, and just walk through and take in what's going on around you. That can help you reconnect with yourself as well. And there's actual research that supports that as being a real appropriate and effective way to lower the stress levels, gain more insight into yourself, and frankly, into others by doing so.
I do it
So
by swimming in my pool because it's really hard to have your phone on you when you're swimming. So it kind of, I'm only half joking. It really forces you to put the phone away, you know?
It's great.
So he says, ask for feedback, get honest input from trusted coworkers. You got to be
That
willing to do that.
Yeah, that's an interesting one on both sides. Number one, to be willing
Mm-hmm.
to ask for it and accept it. And then on the other side, sometimes it's tricky for employees, even associates, to give accurate and honest feedback to others. They're afraid of doing it. They don't know what the reaction will be. Will someone hold this against me? Will there be reprisals? Will there be this big rationalization? Well, here's why I am that way. And for you to bring it up, there's all the fear of that, as opposed to an honest, open, non-retaliatory exchange in which people are really willing to openly listen to each other, respect what the others have to say, take it to heart, and then try to build from there. So a lot will depend on the relationship going in. Coming out from out of the blue, I'm sure you can think of people that if you gave them this kind of feedback, they might jump all over you and turn it into an attack. And employees are concerned about that with coworkers, and even more so with their managers, with those who are in more senior positions. There's just sometimes an underlying fear because of that trust that just isn't there.
That would be a whole other topic for a show right there. How do you give feedback? Have some of your coaches on, and I would love to hear that and learn from that.
Coming up. Listen to understand, not just respond. This helps you develop your empathy. Learn to manage stress. Find healthy ways to cope with pressure. Put yourself in others' shoes. Think what they might be feeling. That's good advice.
It's so interesting. I think we all know that, to walk in the other person's shoes. I think people at all levels have heard that. But the real step, literally and figuratively, is to do it, is to really put yourself in that person's position and what's going on. Try to understand them, their feelings, their emotions, their desires, their needs. And it really improves the personal relationship, the working relationship. And it's not easy. This is going back to, how do you
Right.
learn to be more emotionally intelligent? And you're right, Ed, striving to do that and really stepping back honestly to do it is an important way to help build one's emotional intelligence. What is that other person experiencing right now?
I think
So
that's the
please go
one
right
of the
ahead.
highest levels. If you think about all the things which you just read out in terms of how challenging are they to learn and master, to me, this is one of the hardest ones because it implies a lot of the other points on that list. If you don't get to these other points, you're not going to get to that level ever.
So he summarizes, remember, small improvements lead to big changes. It's never too late to start. Your EQ affects all your relationships. EQ isn't just about being nice. It's about being effective in leadership, teamwork, relationships throughout life. Words, words for good thought. I'll make all this available later. And there's a chart that he sent, and I was trying to get it up on the screen, but it wouldn't load. So I sent it to you in the last message that had a link to the information page, and that's where all this came from. So you can look at that at your leisure. So we have an interesting time coming up in the next week and beyond. Tuesday, October 15th, at 5 o'clock California time. It's going to be 9 a.m. the next day in Tokyo. And, you guys have already agreed to be on that show. So I'm building a website today. It'll be ready probably later today, at least initially. And I'm taking stuff from LinkedIn and some other places that we've been together on shows. And if you want me to make any edits and changes, just tell me and make it all better if you don't like it. But we have quite a diverse group, some people you already know, but really interesting and very, very high powered. And the concept of me doing these geographically oriented international business relationship development kind of shows is to grow network and establish rapport, and that will or should build trust, and then maybe a contractual relationship could develop. So we're dealing with cross cultures, cross personnel, across borders and time and space. And you had mentioned in the past, Christian, that your team was all remote from
Yes,
way different people, way different places.
within the US, but yes, they were.
Okay, good.
Connecticut to San Diego.
Yeah. So what was your biggest challenge? It wasn't time, it was reaching people's minds on a level playing field, I guess.
Yeah, it was. I mean, not to underestimate time, but you get kind of good at that as a matter of practice, finding out, when is a good time so that nobody feels, oh, just because my boss is on the West Coast, I'm really being inconvenienced. You can kind of work around that if you want to, and I learned that. But it's very hard to train people when you're just on camera, and not training in the sense of here's a webinar, but training in the sense of we're doing all these things at the same time. We're learning, I'm teaching you, we're building a relationship, we get to know each other, we build trust. I figure out where you have a harder time understanding than with other things, where I should, not talk as much. All these things are going on at the same time, and at this, and you're, you see facial expressions on camera, but that's all you get, and the tone, of course, the voice, but that's all you get. And there are some people that I've trained, I've hired, interviewed them, hired them, trained them, and now they're my ex-colleagues, and I still have never seen them in real life. Just like, Ed, you and I mentioned we met 8 years ago. I haven't seen you since then. Uh, so it's very difficult to build that same kind of rapport and relationship when it's just on camera. And I believe that in a lot of industries and workplaces, it will be very difficult to find the right talent just locally. So we all hear about everybody has to go back to the office, and that will be true for a lot of people, but there will also be circumstances where that is not feasible. And I think the mobility industry, to a large extent, I read yesterday there's 2,000 people in the world that have a CRP certificate. 2,000 people. Yeah, that's not, you don't find them going to the office all the time. If you want someone with a CRP who can do home sale in a relocation, buyouts, the most challenging, most difficult, most stressful relocation transaction, you may not be able to just find them locally. So it is something that is here to stay, and it's challenging. It's doable but challenging, and there are certain drawbacks that you won't be able to overcome. I sometimes heard from people that I met in real life, "Oh, you're much taller than I thought you were." That shows you what I'm saying right there.
Ken, thank you for your time today. I know it's a busy day and hectic. And Christian, you're such a smart dude.
Thank you. Can I
I'm
have a
learning.
T-shirt with that on it?
That's a good one.
I buy that. Ed says, "I'm a smart dude."
Wisdom, wisdom. So thank you for being
Thank
on the
you.
show. This is
Have a nice
interesting,
weekend.
interesting show. Yeah, and
Thank
go
you.
go
Yeah.
Padres. I'm sorry, we're going to beat the Dodgers.
Knock
Maybe.
yourself
Good luck
out.
to all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Congratulations again, Ken. That is
Well, thank you
amazing.
so much, Christian. Thank you. Thank you, Ed, too.
Thank you. Well, bye.